This is Denari Name Segmenter Training Part 6. We left off talking about the include classification info and the fields that adds to the Excel output from Name Segmenter. We're going to continue with that. We look at first include ask values. Denari has a module called targeted ask values, and if you're using that module, then simply checking this box puts those values into that field. We won't talk about targeted ask values here, but just so you know that will add those fields to that output so that they can be merged into a word letter. Include pledge info is really a little confusing. By checking that box, Denari will add pledge information to the spreadsheet in the same way it adds statistics or classification information. However, remember that the spreadsheet has one row per donor, and so if the donor has more than one pledge, there's no way to get that extra information into that row. So basically, at this point at least, Denari picks a pledge at random and puts that information into, or adds that to the columns in the spreadsheet. So really and truly, this isn't that helpful unless you're absolutely sure that the donors you're dealing with only have one open pledge. The best place to get pledge information is from Pledge Segmenter, and that is being covered in another section. So again, this is available to you, but it's not the most helpful. Include membership data. As we talked about over on the filter page, we have that membership module, and if you're using that, again, this will just output that information. And then finally, include user data. Those are the fields that you can create, like blood type. We used that example over there, and so you can include those fields in the output as well. So again, all of these add to the standard spreadsheet format. Let's go back up to our output type field here and take a look at some of the other options here. First, we have merge letter. A merge letter is really basic. This is just a text letter. There's no way to format things. You can't underline, you can't bold, those kinds of things, but you can type a letter in this section here. So if you have a very simple letter that you want to send out, when you run this, Denari creates a letter. It'll put the name and address information on the letter, and then print your letter body, whatever it is you've put here, down below. And so you get one letter per donor that you can just simply print out and stuff in an envelope and mail. So if you have a very basic need for a letter, this will work just fine. If not, one of the common questions we have is how do you send letters? The best option is to output your names in Excel and then merge that into a Word document. So in Word, obviously, you can format and do whatever you want over there. So those are your two options for sending letters. Now, we have three email options here. There's a text email, HTML, and this HTML segment file. We'll discuss each one of these, but they're all pretty much similar in how they operate. So let's start with the text email. First thing we'll do here is we'll choose a from, or someone in this from field, and this is somebody that's on your staff. This is whoever you select here is the person that, if the recipient of the email hits reply, the message is going to come back to this person. And you set that up over here under the admin tab. You have set up registered email senders, and you just simply click on add new. I'll just click the one that's already here and fill in the email address and the signature and hit save. And that's really all you need to do to set that up. And now you're ready to go, and you have somebody available to you in this drop-down field. The subject is obviously the subject of the email, and then you're going to type in the email body. This field, just like the merge letter, is simply a text field. So again, you can't underline, bold, etc., etc. It's just used for very simple, basic emailed text. And again, if that's what your needs are, then this works just great. Now, all three of these email options work the same way as I said, in that Denari creates a separate email for each name record that the name segment finds. So again, if we've created this filter that that identifies all the people who gave more than $500 in a date range, and when we run the segment, Denari then goes and finds those people and then creates a separate email for each one of them and sends those emails to those recipients or to those donors. And so you don't have this kind of spam effect. It doesn't look like the recipient's getting this big bunch of spam mail. Basically, it looks like you have actually sent this out to them separately. An advantage of doing this through Denari is that most internet service providers put a limit on how many you can send at any one time, how many emails you can send. Usually it's like 50, and so you've got to divide your groups up into into 50s and send that way. By sending out through Denari, we don't have that limit. It's going out through our servers, and there's no limit that we've placed on that. So you can send as many as you want. So if there's 5,000 people in the name segment, then Denari is going to send out 5,000 emails. And so again, that works the same for all the email outputs. The second one here is the HTML email. And you notice that the page hasn't changed. It's exactly the same page. These fields are exactly the same. Down here we've got a place to put in the email body. However, here you're not going to type in text. You're going to put one of two things, either HTML. You can actually type HTML code into this field, although nobody's going to do that. The real value of this output is that it allows you to put in a URL for an already published page. So let's just say we've got a newsletter that we do monthly, and we put that newsletter on our website, and so that means it has a web address. So we'll just pretend that that's where your newsletter is located. If I were to click that link or put that into my browser, it would take me to your newsletter. What this does is allows you to take that already published page and turn that into the body of your email. So when we click on Run Segment, Denari will go to this URL, find that page, and grab the elements off of that page and make it the body of the newsletter, or of your email. So in essence, what you're doing is emailing out your newsletter. So again, this works great if you have a page like a newsletter or anything else, maybe a promotional item or something like that you've already put on your website, and you just want to email to a group of people. It's a very quick and smooth way to do that. The last option here is the one that most people are going to use, and that is it gives us basically the HTML editor. And so here, if we click this little link, we get an HTML editor, which is really a program that takes our entries, the things that we put into it, and turns it into HTML. It's creating an HTML page for us. Now let me minimize this so we can get more of it on the screen. Basically, you're going to type, "This is my email," and in the background, the HTML editor is creating the HTML for you. It's creating a web page, basically. We're not going to go into a lot of detail on how to use this because we're doing a separate training on the HTML editor, and you can pick up the information you need there. But the idea here is that this gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of what you can do in sending out an email through Denari. You can put pictures into this. You can create tables. You can format the text, obviously, and so if you just want to be really basic with it, you've got bold and italicized and underline. You can change the font. You can change the font size. All the kinds of things that you can do in Word, you can do here. The more creative you are, the better. The more versed you are in HTML pages, the better. But basically the idea is that you can actually create a fairly fancy email here and send that out. And once you're done, you're going to click on Save, and again click Run Segment, and off it goes. Denari is going to find the folks that you've identified in your filters and send them an email. The caution here is that email, as you probably know, is not a guaranteed delivery. The recipient may or may not get it. It may go into their spam folder. Their internet service provider might decide that it's spam, but nevertheless, it works pretty well. Once in a while we hear from folks who have had problems with being rejected, but that's really more the issue with the internet service providers than it is with Denari, and so it's a great way to, and an inexpensive way to make contact with your donors. But again, you just have to, in the back of your mind, be cautious and aware that they may not get through. So that's the output from Name Segmenter, and that's just Name Segmenter in general. We're going to continue on talking about Gift Segmenter and then Pledge Segmenter and how they kind of work together. There's also some other options, report options that are available that use name segments and gift segments and pledge segments, and we will be covering those later on.